Good morning, Sault Ste. Marie and Algoma. Welcome to Special Report for Tuesday, July 28th. I'm Chris Oldcorn, and I am here with
Dani Dupuis. Thank you so much to Casey Security for sponsoring the show. And what a good morning it is. We're almost through, August. We're almost at August, I should say. And yes, wasn't raining. And thank you so much, Dan, for that beautiful breeze last night. It was great. I had my window open all night. Oh, it was perfect. How are you today, Chris?
I'm doing well. Well, first I'll tell you who's at Doug Ford's announcement, and then we have a very funny thing that happened in his announcement yesterday.
Things going on.
I mean, yahoos is a term that we've heard other people use, but there was an expression he used yesterday as well that we'll get to right after who's going to be at today's announcement. Okay, so they're going to be in Ajax today. This is a long-term care announcement. It's probably going to be very similar to the one they did in Mississauga because it's about a long-term care facility and capacity in the Durham region. So Dr. Marilee Fullerton, who's the Minister of Long-Term Care, will obviously be there. The Mayor of Ajax, Sean Collier, will be there. And Sharon Cochran, she's the chair of the Lakeridge Health Board of Trustees. And Lakeridge is basically the hospital system between sort of Oshawa and Ajax and all the hospitals in that area. I was born at Oshawa General Hospital.
Hey!
So I was born in that healthcare system. So thank you very much to the Lakeridge Healthcare System for bringing me into the world. Yeah.
My hospital doesn't even exist anymore. Things are changing.
Yeah, well, you got a new hospital and Oshawa's still got the old one. So
yeah, that's true.
You got an upgrade here. And now, speaking of Ford, yesterday in his press conference, he used a very interesting expression when talking about the party that happened in Brampton with over 200 people there. You're going to see it on your screen there. Yeah, all those cars. So that wasn't exactly a socially distancing party that happened.
Not a chance.
Now, we call them yahoos, which is a term he uses quite often to describe people that are doing stupid things. But he also said that, normally we would use something like, one sandwich short of a picnic basket, something like that.
See, that was the first time I've heard that expression this morning.
Yes.
And same with this one. What is it?
This one is the cheese slipped off the cracker. Now,
let's put this into perspective. Yeah. So basically, they're a little far short. What is it?
They're not
fell
really
short.
Operating with a full deck.
Thank you. There we go.
The people that decided to host this party.
And it's really interesting when we talk about this party because there was a report that came out saying that it was a 48-year-old man who just kind of wanted to have a party of 50 people and didn't realize it got out of control. But yet other sources are saying, oh no, this was planned. He had security. He had someone monitoring to make sure no one was doing anything on social media. He had valet parking to make sure the cars all weren't in one area.
Far away from his house.
I mean, Ford also kind of said this was irresponsible, and he even said, find him, give him everything, even the kitchen sink, put it in there. And everyone, Ford even said everyone at that party should have been gotten a fine.
Yeah, and the Mayor of Brampton, Patrick Brown, who was the leader of the the Ontario Progressive Conservative Party before Ford, when there was that whole issue of in the Me Too movement point with Patrick Brown and some things that happened in the past, he had to resign. Ford replaced him. Well, Patrick Brown is now the mayor of Brampton. And so Patrick Brown said yesterday that under city law, what they broke, he can fine them up to $100,000, and he wants to.
They want to fine them everything, if not more.
And they're also looking to see if there's anything else that they can be fined for that they haven't already are in the process of fining them for. They got a fine right off the bat for $880. Just right from the police when they showed up.
Yeah, just for when they first showed up.
But now, because of this, the city of Brampton with illegal gatherings and so on, they have another thing that they can fine them up to $100K for.
He also bought fencing so people couldn't look into his backyard.
Yes, which is interesting for only having 50 people. He built a
not
fence
planned at all. He didn't know.
Yeah, just 50 people because he built a fence high up so neighbors couldn't see in.
Yeah.
He had people making sure no one was posting stuff on social media so the police wouldn't find out. He also had security as well as valet parking. You usually don't do that for 50 people at your house.
I mean,
my family Christmas gatherings were like 30 people and we didn't hire security or anything like that. Probably might need to these days. But
we could talk about this all day, honestly. Let's be honest.
How do you have 50 people and do all that saying you're doing 50?
Well,
anyways,
I was going to say we do have some stuff going on.
We actually have some interesting things going on. We do. Unfortunately, a very famous television host in America passed away just the other day.
We had Regis Philbin pass away over the weekend at, let me see here, he was 88. They did just release last night that it was natural causes. Apparently he did have heart disease, which kind of contributed to this, so he was rest in peace. He was a great entertainer. We all know him from Regis and Kelly, Live, everything. And then also, In the hockey world, there was someone who passed away as well, Eddie Shack. He was known for his infamous cowboy hat and mustache. He was also known as the entertainer and won 4 Stanley Cups with the Toronto Maple Leafs. He passed away at 83, natural causes. There he is. Really, really great man, and contributed to a lot to the hockey world. And actually, he is from Sudbury, and Sudbury is thinking about not renaming their arena, but they want to do something to commemorate him and to honor him. So
give
they're
him
in
a
the works.
street or something
Yeah,
like
so
that,
they're
yeah.
thinking about a few things in the works. So that's what we have going on, kind of national news. But a local story that came in yesterday kind of caught our eye just because it still blows my mind with how this happened. There was a woman who was charged with drug trafficking. So what happened was they had her for offenses before. They kind of got wind that she was trafficking, and turns out that let me see here, the 27-year-old Jade Shawanda, she ended up being seized for narcotics and for charged with trafficking. They ended up finding 45.93 grams of fentanyl,
which is a lot.
Which is a lot. Our graphic designer Aaron and I, we actually kind of divvied it up to see what it would be like for the legal dose and then also the overdose. That much fentanyl can actually kill 21,000 people. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. So, the narcotics seized was up to $23,000. So she's going to be appearing in court in September. But wow, like what?
Yeah, I don't understand why they use fentanyl at all. Why would you want to kill your own clients? And like last year, there was a truck in New York State that they seized, and there was enough fentanyl in the truck to kill every single American.
Yep.
Like that's like 330 million people could die from a truckload of fentanyl.
But you know what? Obviously, they don't. Not that they don't care, but they care about the money portion of it from trafficking and selling this. But they're not thinking.
It's not a good business plan to be killing your clients, like unless you're a funeral home. But like, other than that,
that sounds
nothing against local funeral homes. But I'm just saying, the only people that benefit from someone dying is a funeral home. You want a repeat customer that keeps coming back more and more and more. Not that you give something to them once and then they're no longer a customer.
I know
it's I don't know.
Blows our mind.
Yes. Speaking of local stuff, yesterday Ford's announcement was pertaining to municipalities. So the federal government is giving up to $4 billion to municipalities over the next 6 to 8 months so they can continue to operate without having to raise taxes or do a reduction in services. Now, the Ontario portion of this, this announcement was long on promises, short on details, but the basics of this the details are the federal government is giving $777 million, so that's Ontario's share of the $4 billion. But Ontario has to kick in $1.22 billion to get the $77 million. So that's
just back and forth.
Yeah, a little bit back and forth. But this was a deal hammered out between the provinces and the federal government to help municipalities. Now this will go towards things such as public transit.
Okay.
Because obviously your ridership is down because of social distancing. You're not generating the same money. I mean, at one point we can only put 10 people on a bus max.
Well, that's interesting that it's coming out when the terminal will be moving locations just down Queen Street a little bit more. So that's really interesting that this is coming out during that.
Yeah. And it'll go towards other critical services as well. So it's basically the money we spent over this next 6 to 8 months. However, municipalities in Ontario said they need about $4 billion in help to do the next 6 to 8 months, depending on what happens, particularly come October if we see a second wave here. And the federal government's already pre-planning for that as well for a second wave. They just announced yesterday that they're pre-planning for that now, so that if it does happen, we're ready to go and not caught off guard.
Well, look at numbers are already starting to spike. Sudbury just got 8 new cases.
Sudbury was spiking just the other. That's like 13 since what, Monday or something? Yeah, 13 in like 3 days or something.
And you know what they said too, that these 8 people are under the age of 19. So that is our party goers. Those are our people going out, not social distancing.
64% of cases yesterday came to people under the age of 40. 64% under the age of 40.
Yeah.
But we got to go over to Daniel for a quick weather tease. What's going to happen?
What you got for us?
Good morning, Chris and Dani. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. We got a few clouds kicking around, but the sun is out. You're going to see a live view now of our downtown waterfront camera, which is sponsored by wirelesscom.ca. Make sure you check them out on their website for all the services they offer. We are going to see sun today, but we are expecting the potential, rather, of seeing some showers throughout the day. I will have full details coming up in your 3-day forecast, your Northern Ontario regional temperatures right after the break. So make sure you stay tuned and we will be right back.
What's life without making a few mistakes down the road? A few sharp turns. And doing things for what we adore, but might regret later. A trip to Chuck's Roadhouse isn't one of them. With melt-in-your-mouth AAA steaks, buttery lobster tail, half-priced apps after 9 p.m., an ice-cold draft with all your Roadhouse favorites. Chuck's Roadhouse. Food the way it ought to be, priced the way it used to.
A message from the Government of Canada.
In your home, lighting is just as important as style.
With PowerView Motorization from Hunter Douglas, you can schedule your shades to light up the room. Create privacy, or both, automatically. No hands required.
So your shades will always be in the right place at the right time in style. And it's only from Hunter Douglas.
Good morning, Sault Ste. Marie and Algoma. Welcome back to Special Report, brought to you by KC Security. And we are now going to go over... Oh, sorry, we got a Facebook shout out. Good morning to Nicole.
Hey, Nicole.
Thank you very much. Yes, and she said good morning to Dani, Chris, and Daniel, and everybody else in the Sioux. And also, rest in peace, Regis Philbin, one of the TV's best. And yes, he was.
He
will be missed. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and a bunch of other stuff he did.
Oh, yeah, Who Wants to Be a
He did that
Millionaire?
too,
Yeah.
Alrighty. Daniel, what's going on with that, bud?
Yes, excuse me. Yes, Chris, is that your final answer? Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Is this weather your final answer?
I'm losing my voice apparently, but I'm going to get into the radar shot here. You're going to see behind me. So we've had this low that's kind of moved through here. And what we have is we do have a chance of some showers today and lingering into Wednesday from a weak trough of low pressure that's kind of sliding through. That's going to get through. We're going to get through that, and then we're going to move into high pressure. But what you're going to see is it's kind of, you can kind of see it up on the screen here. There's a couple patches, so we may see some showers today. High pressure's behind it. That's going to move through. So you are going to see, you know, seasonal temperatures. It's a lot drier. You might have noticed last night that humidity took off for a bit, which was nice. You could open up all the windows, and the wind just kind of cooled everything down. So that's what's going to look like for your radar for today. So keep an eye on that. All right, we're going to get into your regional temperatures here. So 24 for Thunder Bay is your expected high today. Wawa, you're always around the cool spot. So you're only looking at 19 today, 23 in Timmins, 24 here in Sault Ste. Marie as well as Elliott Lake, and 25 in Sudbury. Your expected lows for tonight are 14 in Thunder Bay and as well as in Wawa, 16 in Timmins, 15 here in Sault Ste. Marie, and 16 in Elliott Lake, as well as 17 in Sudbury. So you are looking at seasonal temperatures for our region overnight as well. Okay, we're going to get into the daily weather here. Currently we're sitting at about 19. Like I mentioned on our camera view earlier in the weather tease, we had a few clouds lingering. The sun is out. It's not too hot. Nice comfortable temperature. We are going to get up to 24 today with a humidex of only 27, so that won't be too bad. And the winds are 17 kilometers to the west, so not too much of a factor. Yesterday we were pretty breezy into the afternoon, about 45 to 50k at some point, which was nice. It did cool things down. You will see a low of 15 overnight tonight. There is a lingering chance of a shower tonight, 30% as well, and then fog will potentially roll in overnight. All right, so getting into your 3-day. So Wednesday you are going to see partly cloudy, maybe a few chances of fog in the morning, and then you're going to see a high of 24 up until, or your high for the day rather, and then you will see a low of 16 overnight. Thursday, here comes the sun and high pressure that we've been talking about, 23 degrees. It is going to be a seasonal day, which is nice, and then a low of 15. And then Friday's when that heat's going to ramp up again and the humidity is going to come back for the weekend. You're looking at a high of 27 degrees and 17 is your low overnight. So that beach weather is coming back for the quote-unquote long weekend, because it's not an official stat holiday, but a lot of people will be off, so make sure you do go out and enjoy that. Okay, so I will have your 7-day and your weather watcher coming up later on, so I'm going to send it back over to Chris and Dani.
Thanks, Dan. It's nice to know that at least it's starting to cool off just a little bit. Like I said, thank you so much for that breeze. So we do have some local news before we head on over to our commercial. The George Leach Center has announced that they will be reopening their facility on August 4th. We're undetermined of the time right now. We'll keep you updated on that, but it's nice to know that the gyms are slowly starting to open up. As we know, Good Life has opened up, as well as Fit for Less, and the YMCA has started again, and the YMCA also has their summer camps. And our next story is coming to us from Sudbury. And really, actually, I don't really like the story, and I do like the story because of the fact that the cat was saved. And there's a cat in the story that a person found was tied to railroad tracks. The cat was tied up, and there's the picture right there, orange tabby cat. His name is now Trax. So someone was walking by and they saw this cat tied up. It was meowing, and then when they got closer, there was rope around its neck and around its paws. So we ended up taking the cat, brought it to a local animal shelter, and the cat's in good health, no harm besides the rope burn, but so far he's doing okay. So we know his name's Trax. It's really, why would anyone do that? I know, neither do I. Like, a very inhumane, animal cruelty for one.
I wonder if they have any cameras they can figure out
I
who
know,
did
that's
that.
what I was thinking too. Like, was it central station kind of thing, or like was it in public? So who knows? But we will be coming back with more sports stories after this commercial break.
Recently, the Government of Ontario established a $100 million affordability fund to help Ontarians who don't qualify for low-income conservation programs ease the burden of their electricity bill. Whether you rent or own your home, as long as you pay your electric bill, you could qualify. There are 3 levels of support available. The first is a home energy kit with upgrades like smart power bars and LED light bulbs. The second includes Energy Star appliances that help keep things cool during the hot summer months. The third is for electrically heated homes so that your power bills don't break the bank during those long Canadian winters. Plus, all upgrades, including installation, are completely free of charge. Visit affordabilityfund.org or call 1-855-494-FUND to find out if you qualify.
And welcome back to Special Report for Tuesday, July the 28th. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Okay, outside the OPP Union building, which is in Barrie, Ontario, they are flying a black Canadian flag with a blue line through it. And that is the flag that we use in Canada to support the police. Now, it's been there since June 29th, and as you have been watching the news lately, you've seen a lot of Black Lives Matter protests, and this flag has been used by pro-police demonstrators. So it's now become slightly controversial here in Canada that they've been flying this flag. However, it's been flying since June 29th, which actually preceded a lot of the protesting.
I was going to say, does that also come with the defunding movement?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole Black Lives Matter, defund the police movement that you're seeing that started in the States and has kind of moved around the world as well. But the union is saying that the purpose of putting up this flag was actually a fundraiser for Heidi Stevenson, who was the RCMP officer killed in the mass shooting in Nova Scotia.
Oh.
And they've actually raised $100,000 to date selling these flags. So you can actually purchase these flags, and part of the money goes to her,
that's really
to her
nice.
family, I should say.
Yeah.
They've already given $20,000 of it to her family already, but they've raised over $100,000 so far selling these flags. And I just want to say one thing here. Police keep us safe, and policing isn't perfect. Nothing is perfect.
Nothing's perfect.
There's
We know
bad
that.
apples in everything. And unfortunately, when there's bad apples in the police, people get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But when there's bad apples in other things, people get hurt as well. But by and large, police are good. They help us. They keep us safe. And, you know, Blue Lives Matter just as much as any other life on this planet matters. And this is a fundraiser and has been going on for a police officer's family who died in a mass shooting. And this is not something that should become politicized.
Well, we also know that people right now, all they want to do, they're picking fights.
Yes.
They're bored at home sitting there with COVID-19. We know it's driving everyone a little bit crazy, and people think because social media that they can just voice whatever they want. Well, you know what? Sometimes those things could come back and bite you in the bum. Let's be honest. You have to be honest.
If we
you
got
have to
rid
be
of
very
police,
careful.
what do you want to do?
Like, I do understand, when it comes to the defunding movement, I do understand that portion of it, how they secure some for mental health services. That portion I do understand fully, but to completely, like you said, nothing's perfect. So why are we just going to keep exploiting this and keep making it bigger than what it is? Like,
Just to put this into comparison, in people who are religious leaders of congregations, synagogues, mosques, okay, their rate of, let's call it bad apples, is actually about 3%. The bad apple rate in the police is less than 0.1%. So that put that into perspective on how well we actually pick police officers and train them to deal with what they have to deal with. And they have to make split-second decisions. Remember, they don't have the luxury of being a computer game. If you get killed, you just restart the game. For them, there is no restart if something happens. So,
but you still got to be careful with the decisions you make, though.
They make split-second decisions that, yes, life and death decisions, both for the people they're dealing with and themselves. And I just think that let's think about both sides in this issue.
Yeah.
And yes, we can put a lot more money into mental health, but that's actually part of our healthcare system where you're putting that money in. That's where the money is being starved. You shouldn't be taking that money away from the police. Put more money into the healthcare system so that the police can have healthcare workers working with them to help.
See, so many different opinions going on. There's so many.
And like what happened in Toronto with the individual who was called because he wasn't taking his medication. They went in, and they killed him. He was 64 years old. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Oh, that was a huge ordeal.
That was a huge thing that happened, and unfortunately it did happen, and that was a split-second decision. And maybe if there was a mental health person there with the police, that wouldn't have happened, but we'll never know. But they made a split-second decision that, in retrospect, was the wrong decision. But no one is perfect. We're not perfect. We mess up live on the air all the time. So anyways, we got to go commercial. We'll be right back after this.
Even though we can't always meet in person, we can still listen.
Even though schools are closed, help is still available in your community.
Even though you may be worried, services and supports are still here. In stressful times like these, families need mental health supports more than ever.
We are here to make sure you can stay connected to your community and culture.
Nous savons qu'il peut être difficile de rester à la maison, mais vous n'êtes pas seul.
And we know asking for help for yourself and others can be hard.
But there are people in your community who are ready to support you.
No matter your age, gender, sexual identity, race, or culture.
No matter the day, time, or issue.
We're here to help.
A message from the Government of Canada.
And welcome back to Special Report for Tuesday, July 28th. I was getting excited there for Thursday. I was trying to get to the weekend, but not yet. Also, Michelle said hi in our Facebook live chat. So good morning to Michelle. And we're going to go over to Daniel now for some weather. What's happening for the next 7 days?
Thank you very much, Chris and Dani. And we've got a video here which is from our camera, which is sponsored by wirelesscom.ca. You're going to see, this was from last week. It was actually a beautiful night that we had. There were some clouds, a little bit of sun lingering, a nice sunset. So we got some nice shots from our camera. So thank you very much again to wirelesscom.ca for that. I'm going to quickly get into your 7-day forecast right now. So what we're going to be looking at is on Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to see mainly sunny. And then we're going to get into, seasonal temperatures for those days. Then Friday, Saturday, your heat's going to bump up. So here's where that humidity comes back, 27 and 28 degrees. And, there's going to be a couple clouds. There is a chance of a shower on Saturday evening into Sunday, but that's still far away, so we'll monitor that as well. And then on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, you're looking at highs of 25, 26, and then back down to 23 on the Tuesday. And your overnight lows are hovering between 15 to 18 degrees, which is seasonal. So for your long weekend, you are looking at some good weather, to get to camp, get to the beach, get out and enjoy the sun. And I do want to mention, because I did forget when it came up on the screen, ontvweather@gmail.com. Send in your photos and videos and include your name and location. All right, I'm going to send it back over to Chris and Dani.
Much, Dan. Now, some sports talk before we end the show. We know that the Eastern Conference teams, they successfully have made it to Toronto, and they are in their own little bubbles, and it's really interesting to see that the way that these hotels have done it. So they have the certain floors completely designated for them. They have their own personal chefs, kitchens. It's really incredible. And the city, what they've done too is they've completely isolated them from everything. So when I say they're in their own little bubble, I mean they go with their team one way. Like they have training over at BMO Field, and they can either drive there or they can walk there. So it's really interesting to see, and we'll have more. And Chris?
And we'll be back at 1 o'clock with Doug Ford's press conference from Ajax. It's a long-term care announcement. See you at 1 o'clock.